my mic is muted as per
Uh-oh.
usual. And my mic is muted as per usual, so y'all missed my amazing
feel bad.
opener. Y'all missed my opener. It was so good. I put the stank on it high key. I was so nice to y'all, and now it's cool. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Black Coffee Morning Show. I have Gigi Murakami with me. I hope you're doing well. I hope your morning is going better than mine. She asked what my morning was. My morning, it's 0 out of 10 right now because every time. But you know what? It's okay. I have good coffee. I have good company. So we're just gonna roll right through it. But yeah, morning's doing all right. You know, it could be better, but it could be worse. Yeah, you know, I feel that admin stuff. I have so much admin work to get done. Like, being a content creator is 50% sitting in front of the camera, talking to yourself, 50% admin work. Actually, like 90% admin work, 10% sitting in front of a camera talking to yourself, because the amount of editing, the amount of updating I have to do is kind of abysmal.
Yeah, I think in my situation, it's that ratio is a lot more split up because I'm like drawing whatever I'm drawing, either like manga or illustrations. I'm drawing, and then admin, and then content creation.
Oh goodness!
And then like home stuff, which also includes like taking care of myself.
Right. Also, like you're a really dope artist. I saw that you had commissions open right now.
I do have commissions open. I do, yeah. I'm actually doing. I don't have any of my commission examples here, but that's okay. Well, I have like one. This isn't really something that's a commission, but I'm doing like shikishi board commissions, which are just like in Japan, a lot of manga artists will take shikishi board commissions, which it's like these boards that typically people do autographs on. But they come in like different sizes and stuff. So this is the smallest size that I take. The larger size is like 9x10. I don't have like, do I have an example next to me? I don't think so. I only have this little one. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I don't have any examples like readily available next to me. But yes, my commissions are open. And I also have commissions open for like manga size paper, which I do have next to me. Like smaller sizes. So where is it? Here we go. Like this size for commissions. This is like an A4 size. And you can find this on my website at gigimurakami.art. So all the pricing is up there.
That's amazing. So I see that you have like a heavy Japanese influence to a lot of your work, at least for like a lot of like I always forget the name of the autograph boards. I've just always called them autograph boards. I didn't even know they had a name until you said them. Yeah. I know what you're talking about when you're talking about shikishi. But so have you had any like direct exposure to Japanese culture, or done any like Japanese language study, or is it just more like as you've kind of grown up watching anime like most people do, you've kind of just slowly but surely intersected the culture within yourself?
I think it's a bit of all of those things actually. So I do speak Japanese. I'm like upper beginner, early intermediate. I was full intermediate a few months back, but I've kind of fell off on my studies. But I did kind of get into Japanese culture through osmosis, through like manga and anime, through listening to like a lot of J-rock and J-pop music, and that stuff happening like super young. Like I read my first manga when I was like 7. It was a horror manga. So it just kind of like, I just kind of continued from there. And when I was like about 12, I got so like enamored with Japan that like I started studying the language on my own. And it's been a long time that I've been studying Japanese, and I have not been as consistent as I need to be like super duper fluent. Right. It's kind of been like stop and start. But I am trying to be more consistent with it now. So I am still proud of the progress that I've made, despite the fact though, because like your girl's definitely like in the intermediates, you know.
No, that's amazing. No, that's amazing.
Well, but
I mean, I studied Japanese. It's kind of the same thing. I studied Japanese on and off on my own since I was about that same age, like 7, 8. My uncle bought me a kanji book from Barnes and Nobles, and from there I kind of tried to learn the kanji. Then when I went to high school, I took 3 years of formal like language classes. But Japanese is definitely not like Spanish or any other kind of like major language here in the States where you would have exposure to it, because like if you were trying to learn French, I mean, at least you kind of have like Creole adjacent, so maybe you could learn like French Creole, or you can learn Spanish. But because Japanese are so few Japanese speakers, and even amongst like Black people there's even fewer Japanese speakers that like you can like learn directly with, it's really, really difficult to stay.
Yeah, in my situation, I'm actually married to a Japanese man, which is where my last name comes from. So I did have that problem, and now I don't anymore.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so we typically speak in the house in Japanese. So, and he's not like the greatest teacher, to be honest. But he is helpful for like it's helpful for me to learn how to just pick up new vocabulary through him, through like osmosis. Like we'll be talking about something and then he'll say a word and I'm like, what does that mean? And then he'll be like, oh, it means this. And then I'm like, can you use that in the house more so that I can pick it up? And like that way it's easier. I can like pick it up and use it in the same way that he does, and I know the context like right away. So when people say like, oh, if you want to learn Japanese, you should get a Japanese boyfriend or a Japanese girlfriend, like there is some truth to that. Yeah, like there is some truth to that, but it worked out for me. I just decided to marry a Japanese guy.
And that worked out. That actually makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like how toddlers pick up language. They hear like people talking in the house, and then through there, even though they don't like necessarily know every word, but as you keep hearing it in the house, you'll just eventually pick it up. So like that's really cool. That's a really cool benefit that you have, having someone in the house that speaks Japanese. Because boy, when I was learning Japanese, it was just me. Just little me in my house. I had putting sticky notes of words of items in Japanese all over the house, and my mom just be like,
that works too, though.
Yeah,
we did it in the house too. Yeah.
So
like on the fridge and on the microwave, like we put up the Japanese words for it in hiragana. So like reizoko. Reizoko is fridge. I forget what microwave was, but we don't have it up anymore. We moved recently. Everything back up, but we used to have that, and it was useful. But that's actually a good way to go about it. Just like everyday items that like you're going to have to say at some point. I think that's a good way to study.
Yeah, I've had a couple of different study techniques, and of course consistency is like the key, making sure you take like 20 minutes a day to dedicate to it. So over time, especially now, like that I have, and I wouldn't say I don't have a desire to learn Japanese, but it's just not at the forefront of all the things I want to do as it was prior, because I was so dedicated to going and studying in Japan, and actually like, being an English teacher in Japan. I really thought that was my life goal, but life goals change once you graduate. So now it's kind of more like I have a desire to learn Japanese just so that I continue to like really enjoy the culture more than me having a desire to go to Japan, because I think knowing the language does help a lot with like understanding cultural aspects, because you'll be watching anime, and you'll hear a word, or like you'll hear like a riddle, and if you didn't understand that there's a context between how something is said versus how we interpret it in English because it was translated, like you miss a lot of the meaning. So that's one of the main reasons why I think I'm interested in learning Japanese. I know everyone has like a different little reason why they learn, but it's a hard language. It's a very, very hard language.
I think also like even if your reasons change, as long as it's important to you, that's all that matters. Because like,
yeah,
it like, I don't know. I think some people have this idea that like, if like wanting to learn Japanese to like be able to watch anime without subtitles is kind of like a frivolous, stupid reason to like learn Japanese. I don't think that that's the case. It's like,
right.
It is a hard language. Like whatever motivates you to like keep up with it, to actually learn the language is like, that shit is valid.
Like, no, right.
It should be fun. It should be fun. And like, it doesn't matter if the motivation changes, as long as it's still motivating for you to continue to learn the language. That's the only thing that is important, in my opinion.
No, that's totally right. I guess that, like, especially here in the States, like, sometimes, like, I speak specifically for, like, nerd culture. Like, a lot of the things, the reasons why we do things, it just seems kind of frivolous. Like, oh, I just want to do this because I want to look cool, or I want to sound cool. And I think that I think it's okay to just want to do something because you want to be, like, a little bit cool in front of people. It's like a little party trick to pull out.
Or just like impress people, like even if it's like, oh well, I know, you know, if it's a sense of like vanity, like fuck it, who cares? Like you learned a language, like that was motivation enough for you,
right?
Like it is what it is. You're still learning something that like most people would not have the patience or like the motivation to learn.
Oh yeah.
So like,
oh yeah.
Honestly, do you still speak though?
I'll say I have a lot more. I don't speak as well as I understand. I read hiragana and katakana pretty well. My kanji is still dog shit. I'm so bad at kanji. You throw a kanji up there, I don't know what the fuck it says. Don't try to ask me, especially when one kanji can have like 5 meanings. If a particle is thrown next. Kunyomi. I don't know. Don't ask me nothing about no kanji. I don't know nothing about it. But hiragana, I still have very good comprehension with hiragana. I think overall, like, I think my pronunciation and the way that I speak Japanese, so like, again, I don't speak very well, but I still remember how to introduce myself, like, hajimemashite, watashi name wa Tai desu. So like, so I still kind of have like those, but it sounds very formal because when I learned back in high school, so it was extremely formal. My Japanese probably sounds as it should be because I was learning in a school setting. So my Japanese is, all of my introductional Japanese is very formal. I don't have any like casual conversational Japanese. Like you can't take me to an izakaya and expect to have a good conversation with me. It's going to sound like you're talking to a coworker. So, I like knowing that I can still purchase Japanese manga, like, because that's like my little small flex. I purchase Japanese manga, and even though my comprehension is very, very small, I still be like, yeah, I can read it, boy. I may have to translate it for 2 days. I may have to translate 2 pages, a page a day, but I can read it, and that's enough for me. So yeah.
ちょっと日本語を話しましょうか?
Hold on, wait. That's understand. Hanashimasu is understand. Hold on, I got this. Break this down. Talk? Is it really talk? Hanashimasu is talk? Oh goodness, yeah, y'all. It's been too long. I don't know nothing then. Don't know nothing. It was close. Wakarimasen. Don't understand. Wakarimasen. Oh goodness. So fun to like meet other people who've actually studied Japanese, because a lot of people talk about studying Japanese, but no one's actually taken the time to like sit down but like people who sit down and study Japanese, you're a warrior, and all my hats off to you, because English to Japanese is such a jump, because in English we're a Germanic language, we don't have any like symbols or anything that really like that are, it's completely different language type, and there's so many consonants and vowels in Japanese, but I will say this, I took Spanish first and then I took Japanese, and Spanish definitely helped with my pronunciation in Japanese because of the language
it's just
sound.
easier.
Yeah. So, you know, a little shout out to anybody who speaks Spanish. Give Japanese a try, because the amount of people that I've seen, or like a lot of ESOL teachers will speak Spanish, and I've heard them speak some kind of Asian language, like whether it's Japanese. I've heard some people also speak Spanish and Korean. I'm not sure if there's like a correlation in the way those languages are romanticized, but it's really cool.
Korean is like tricky. You know how like in Japanese there's like romaji, so like the English breakdown, like the phonetics of Japanese, but in English, the Korean version of that is so complicated looking. It's really weird. I feel like we kind of like we're taking like a deep dive into like language, like
deep dive into language. It's cool. Yeah, no, I never really get the opportunity to talk with people about language, because a lot of the times, like, especially within like otaku spaces, like we talk American otakus, we talk a lot about anime, we talk a lot about manga, we talk a lot about Japanese culture, but it's all through Western lens, and it's all about how we interpret Japanese culture over here. It's very rare. Like, I would say that there's a handful of people that are in the community that have actually either studied in Japan, live in Japan, have direct proximity to someone who is Japanese. Those people who have those kinds of experiences truly have like a very different understanding of like otaku culture. My friends often will call me like an otaku purist sometimes, because like I'll say something, I'm like, no, I was like you're not, I was like you're not understanding it right. You see, it's actually a riddle, because the way that Momo is said here and the way that Momo is said there, they're not the same thing.
Right. No, I get that. I try to like offer those breakdowns sometimes too, and like my friends are just like, okay, I don't care. It's like,
okay,
right.
Like,
I'll just keep this useless knowledge, I guess.
Have you ever been called Wikipedia or Google? Because I get that often. It's like, thank you, Wiki. Oh, then you haven't lived. You haven't lived until someone calls you like, thank you, Wikipedia. Thank you, Google. They call me Typedia.
That's endearment, though. I'm not mad at that. I think that's kind of cute. It's a nice thing of endearment.
It is. It's funny, because I've studied so much about Japanese culture, and also like, I think the thing with, and I can't speak for anyone else, but my experience being like Black and then being introduced to Japanese culture, it's so very different from everything that we experience as Black people here. Like, just to know that there is a place out there that I can go that's not like this at all, that's not anything, and I feel like otakus especially, like, it's a complete separation from the norm. Like, there are these beautiful buildings, there are these beautiful structures, there's these princesses, there's these warriors, and it all sounds like so comparable to like what we've experienced or what we're told about ourselves. To know that there's a far off land that we could kind of escape to that actually exists, so one day I can go, feels like it's almost like liberating. And immersing yourself in Japanese culture makes you feel like it can outcast you, but also it's just, you don't care, because it's so like, the stories are so captivating. I definitely remember myself.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. But like, I definitely remember calling myself Kagome for like a smooth 2 years, because after I heard, I was like, she's so cool, like she shoots arrows, and like she has like a weird angry boyfriend. Like, I don't understand any of that, but it's very different from what I've got going on right now, which is just like American life, which is kind of gross, and you know, Black American life can be even grosser. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but like, Japanese culture is just really enticing in that way.
It definitely resonates for me, for sure. When I was like 12 years old, and I really became like a Japan otaku, like, just not even just like an anime or manga otaku, just like, I love Japan. Like, I just want to know as much as I can about this country, about the culture, about the language, the history. I like hyper focused on learning as much as I could about like everything, all things Japan. And I also had that same idea of like, oh, this is such a magical place that like I can kind of escape to. And I just want to offer a little bit of pushback for people who feel that way, because you know, it is nice to have an escape, especially as a Black American, because like, to your point, like life here can be really difficult for Black Americans, especially when you're young, right? Like when you're young and your interests are kind of like nerdy, and like you feel like maybe in your like local area, like in your specific school or whatever, like there's nobody who kind of gets you. Like the majority of your friends might be online or like out of state or whatever. Like that can be really isolating and really lonely. And then like, you know, there's just like the struggle of being like a young person can be like a lot. So like it's very easy to fall into this idea that like Japan is this like almost like Disneyland, this like utopia, this paradise where I can go and like I can leave my troubles behind. And like I do not want to be the bearer of bad news, but like Japan is not like that.
Oh no, it's not. You know, like, who's gonna tell them? I think that's like
who's gonna be the one?
I think that also like that was the biggest thing for me when I finally got old enough to do extra research.
Rose-colored glasses came off. How old were you? It's like having the talk as a Black person for the second time, but like the Japan version.
Yes.
Like, so actually,
it's my
not...
biggest like remove the veil moment was I was actually I will say my biggest remove the veil moment was actually when I entered my first year of college, and I took African American humanities course, and then I took an Asian humanities course back to back, because I was just like, yeah, I want to learn more about myself, and I want to learn more about these places that I really want to visit. And boy, oh boy, I was not prepared for the history. And then on top of that, I actually like we had a lot of Japanese exchange students come to our college, and I actually had to spend one-on-one time with them. And then on top of that, I want to say this was around the time a lot more information about, like, I don't know what happened, but a lot of information about Japan during World War II was coming out, like kind of like resurfacing, if you will. And no one was nice during World War II. But Japan was kind of especially not nice during World War II. So that was like a very big lift the veil, like, oh, everybody's bad. And just because Japan and Japanese people, like, I think it's almost like, you know how America's biggest export is like Black culture? Japan's biggest export is the kawaiification of Japan. That is their biggest export. It's like Hawaii culture, otaku culture, that is like their export. They're trying to convince you, like, it's gonna be great, come here, visit, enjoy our, you know, don't you want to be kawaii, go to Harajuku, visit Akihabara. But I'm like, first off, Japan is definitely more than like that one long strip of streets in Tokyo. There's a lot more to it. There's many other prefectures, there's tons of other people, many other great things in Japan other than those things. And secondly, it's kind of like the haze of you just looking at these things kind of takes away from a lot of their economic issues, a lot of their population issues, their policy issues, their gender issues, or issues with foreigners.
It's a lot.
They have a lot of stuff going on.
It's a lot. So like my lifting of the veil moment was also in college. I also had a lot of Japanese exchange students in my college, and I became friends with them pretty quickly in my first year, because my thing was like, I love Japan, I love anime, I love all this stuff, but like I have no Japanese friends. So like to your point, like it was the same situation. I had nobody to talk to, and my studying for the language kind of fell off. And then in college, I had met up with some of these students, and I became really good friends with Her name is Akiko. We're still friends to this day, and I saw her
Aww.
recently this past April. Shout out to you, Akiko. But we became friends, and we actually got into a disagreement. And this is like this character's kind of old, but I don't know if you know Domo-kun, like the like brown tofu looking thing.
Yes. Okay.
The growl face.
Yes, Domo, the little brown monster guy.
Yeah. So we were talking about Domo-kun, and I had said that Domo-kun was from NHK. We were just like talking about it, just like nostalgically, and it just came up like, wow, where's Domo-kun from? And I was like, oh, Domo-kun's from NHK. And she was like, no, it's not. It's from another channel, maybe like Fuji TV or something. And I knew I was right because I had literally searched it up prior to our conversation, because I think I had a Domo-kun plushie, and I just wanted to know, being in my hyper-focused Japan information phase, I just wanted to know more about Domo-kun. And I had recently searched it up and found out that information. And she was like, no, it's from like Fuji TV or something. I don't remember if that's what she really said, but let's just say it was that. And I was like, no, Domo-kun's from NHK. And she was like, this is where the moment hit. She was like, look, you're not Japanese. I'm Japanese. Like, that's not where Domo-kun is from. And like, it struck me in a way that was like, I was pissed off at her, but it's like, why are you mad though? Like, she's not wrong. Her answer was wrong. You were right in that case. But like, why are you mad that she's pointing out the obvious? Like, you're not Japanese. And like, she is Japanese. So like, that exchange really helped put into perspective for me that like, I don't have to be Japanese or be Japanese, if that makes sense. Like, I don't have to let my love for Japan and like Japanese culture sort of color my existence, so to speak. And like, that fact was kind of like, it was like a rude awakening, but it was a needed awakening, because it's like, I am Black, and there's so much cool shit in like Black culture, and like, there's nothing wrong with being Black. And like, I didn't necessarily have a problem with being Black, but because my mindset was like, oh, Japan is my escape, but it's like, escape from what? You know what I mean? Low key, escape from being Black. Low key. No,
you know that's a very honest point, because here in the States, there is I would say popular media, or I wouldn't even say popular media, just the way that like racism is institutionalized here. You internalize so much anti-Blackness without even thinking it. Like, I wouldn't say that I hated being Black growing up. That was never the sentiment. It's just a matter of
there is a lot of like self-hatred that happens. Not even necessarily Black hatred or like internalized racism in that sense, but it's like, I dislike what's happening to me, and I happen to be Black, and I don't like this. I don't like this situation.
This isn't working. Right.
It's not working. Like, I need some sort of escape. And like, once that conversation happened, and I was pissed off at her too, because it's like, damn, you got me thinking about all this like extra like introspective stuff that I was trying to like not think about. But it's like, I did need to think about it, because that stuff is important to think about. Because it's like, whoa, we're getting into like identity issues, and like, that's not okay to take on another culture, like subconsciously or unsubconsciously. It's not cool to take on another culture as my identity, even though I knew I wasn't Japanese and that wasn't my culture, but I was so involved that it almost became like my identity. So that makes sense. It was a very introspective deep dive after that conversation. And then, you know, this girl had the audacity to come back and be like, hey, so you was right, girl. Domo-kun is from NHK. And I was like, get out of my face. Get out of my face.
Oh, like, for real, nah. You can't come back after that, sis. You can't come back. But that makes so much sense.
Girl, whatever. It's like, I had this whole breakdown, and like, I had this whole like the veil was completely lifted off. Like, my entire like idea of like who I was
challenged, right?
was completely challenged, and I had to think about all these things. And you got the audacity to be like, okay, so actually, I'm sorry.
Actually, I'm sorry.
Right. But it was cool, and we're, like I said, we're still friends.
Right.
We're still friends, and like, I'm actually glad that she did challenge me on that, because now it's like, okay, I can like Japan and I can like Japanese stuff, but I am now extremely comfortable with the idea that I will never be like Japanese, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, I will never,
that makes
even if
sense.
even if I live in the country and I get like acclimated to the culture, if I live there, right? And even if I get rid of my American citizenship and become a Japanese citizen, right? I will still never be Japanese.
Yes.
And like,
your proximity to culture, just like your proximity to Japanese culture doesn't make you Japanese, just like other people's proximity to Black culture doesn't make them Black. And I think that there's a different intent behind the reason why I feel like a lot of Black otakus specifically, or I would say honestly American otakus in general, there's a specific reason why we do it, and why marginalized groups, I feel, would feel the need to try to get as close as they can to another culture, because it's escapism versus, I feel like there's some predatoriness when non-POC people try to come into another person's culture. But no matter how you slice it, no matter how close you get to Japanese culture, we'll never be Japanese. And it's almost sounds like a shock. Like it's like, when I can imagine like my younger self hearing that, like really? Like I mean, I knew that, but like when you said that loud, it sounded
that shit. At my big age of like 19, 18, I was not trying to hear that shit.
Right.
Like, I really had to reason with myself, and it's like, but she's not wrong though. You're not. Like, what is the problem? What's the issue? And like, that experience definitely left me feeling way more secure in my Blackness than if it wouldn't have happened. I would have been such an insecure Black person had that conversation not happened, especially in visiting Japan, and like, because it's like, it's very obvious that I'm not Japanese.
Right. It's like
not even a question.
It's not even a question. Not even a question. You can't even fake it.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, it's right here. Who's denying
it? Right. So it's like, had that conversation not happened, despite me physically knowing that, like, the security in me knowing that I'm a Black woman, I love being a Black woman, I love Black culture, I especially love Black nerd culture.
Like, yes.
I would not be able to be as confident in that had that conversation not have happened when it happened. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I totally get that.
It was definitely a learning moment.
And there's something about like the reclamation of your like Black identity when you're finally, my mom calls it my awakening when I became woke, because after I had that, after I think it's because I took the African American Humanities course.
I think same.
Right, because I took that course. Like, after I took that course and I started talking about, we went back to the back when we went all the way prior to slavery in the US. We talked about the entire African diaspora. We talked about how slavery worked within the states, within the Caribbean. We talked about colonization, imperialism, capitalism. Just once I got that information, and I think that's why it's so important for Black individuals. You're not going to get it in your traditional primary K through 12. That's just not happening. I'm not going to talk about why, but it's not going to happen. But you really have to like seek that out. You got to connect yourself to your community, because once you get connected, once you get locked in, it's like something about you that like I can say I wouldn't say disassociated, but actually, yeah, there was like, it's almost like a disassociation, like a displacement. Like, you're not quite fit in. And it's, once you finally, like, understand who you are as a Black person, once you and your Blackness click together, it's like, even if, like, yeah, I may be like eclectic, I may be on I may be fringe, but the Black part of me is unquestioned.
Absolutely.
The Black part of me is unquestioned. I am unapologetically dark-skinned Black woman. That's not going to change.
Absolutely.
No matter what I get into. And once you figure that out, even no matter if you're wearing.
Right, you're free. A different type of freedom, because like, I'm gonna cosplay, I'm gonna dye my hair, I'm gonna dress in spikes, I'm gonna dress in bright colors, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna dip into whatever subculture or whatever nerdy, like you said, fringe, whatever culture of fringe that I want to dip into, and I will still continue to be Black.
I will still be Black.
That is honestly like true freedom. Like that is so honestly true freedom. So like.
Yes.
I had my awakening moment too. It's so funny that you said like right after the same thing happened to me too in college. Like after that situation, my whole psyche was like shattered, and I was just like, I didn't actually take African American studies. I took at that time I was taking fine arts in college, and then moved over to digital art. But I like during that time though, I was doing my own research on certain things, and like just like, tuning into a lot of like current events, and that escapism that I kind of had Japan set up for, like in my mind, like all of that escapism, like the doors were blown open on that. So I was like, I don't want to escape anymore. I want to be present in this situation, and like in what's happening in Black current events at that time, and like in the Black community at that time. And I was like, I was so woke. I was like, you couldn't tell me nothing. I started dressing in like black, green, and red all day, every day.
Telling you, that's.
I was like, I had my docs like.
Oh yeah. Afro was coming through heavy.
Afro, bro.
What? Oh no!
I yeah. Told a little bit after a while, because I was like, "Girl, you went from one end of the spectrum all the way
extremely pro-Black."
Right, like find your comfort in this, and I feel like I found my comfort in this. Now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Went from listening to AKB48 to just Kendrick Lamar on Kendrick Lamar for like 3 years.
Literally,
I had to figure it out, but like, you're so right. It's so freeing to like be Black and be like, your Blackness is never compromised. It's Black and like Black with spice. Like, yes, it's Black. I'm Black and I'm really in a nerd culture, and I'm really in a otaku culture. I'm Black and I'm interested in other experiences outside of my Black American one, and it is extremely freeing. And also, I feel like because of my understanding of my Blackness and me learning and me being connected to my community, like, I can find others like me, and like we don't have to know each other. Like I said, we've only known each other for the time of this show. The time of this show, and like we're locked in. Like I feel like hey, this is my sister. Like can't nobody tell me. I've known Gigi my whole life. Gigi, you know? Gigi, you know? Yeah, Erica's husband. I've been my whole life. We locked in. We think the steers. We 2 peas in the pod. It's carrots too. It's whatever. We're right here. It's so exciting, like, to meet people that are just like you, and they've had your similar experiences, like, because of understanding your Blackness and clicking in, like, we don't have to know each other for very long. The Blackness is what sinks us. The nerdness is what brings us together, and then all of the other common experiences and that's when you said you love the black nerd community. I'm like, yes, blurs all day, every day. It's such a wonderful community, despite all the stuff that people try to bring, like all the bad stuff people try to say about it. Without the blurred community, I really don't think that Black nerds and I have to stress this, other marginalized groups who also have their own unique identities and they want to be a part of nerd culture, I don't think that we would have found each other, because once I saw I saw Black nerds getting together, then I saw other nerds getting together, Hispanic nerds finding each other, bringing in their own music and their own unique cultural identities to their nerd culture. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing that's more beautiful in my personalized and culture clash than culture mixing. Like I don't know if you've heard the Salsa Chainsaw Man song. That right there, that's a bop. That's a bop. Oh yeah,
Salsa Chainsaw Man.
Yeah,
we got to get that. We got to get that.
Hold on. For the chains. Yeah,
send me to Spotify. Send me to Spotify.
I'm send you to Spotify. Hold on. I'm telling you, it's Salsa Chainsaw Man. That right there. I listen to it at least once a day since I've heard it. It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
I have not heard that one.
I'm telling you. Oh yep, Kickback Salsa version by Trigger. Let me go ahead and get this to you. I don't want to play it on stream. I don't want my stream to get taken down, or I would. But
I feel that.
It's kind of fire or whatever. Hold on, let me get it to you.
Just slide that in the DMs.
Oh yeah, cool.
Slide it in the DMs.
But yeah, I love when culture mixes. When anybody does it, honestly, all the nerdcore rap coming up, that's a vibe. Love me some good nerdcore music. I love hearing. Also, like I've seen a lot of like Indian dancers doing their own version or interpretation of dances to Japanese music. That's been really fun for me to see. It's just so much like cultural interpretation of Japanese culture, or the things that we love from Japanese culture, and I'm living for it. I love it. I love seeing how people people take their own stuff. Listen, I've had this is like my third cup of coffee because I just need to be awake. And I was like, oh yeah, later on today I'm gonna be fucked up. I'm either gonna be up, down, or definitely in the bathroom. My stomach is not gonna be happy with 3 cups of coffee, but I needed to be awake at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I needed to be up. So, later on it is what it is. You just gotta sometimes you gotta take your L's. We've talked a lot about Japanese culture, so I'm gonna shift. I hope y'all get, like, first off, that the conversation is vibing. It's immaculate. I'm loving it. But I like to ask questions on the podcast about people's favorite snacks and people's favorite foods. So I'm gonna ask you a few snack questions. I'm gonna ask you a few food questions. So first things first, what would you say are like your top 5 favorite snacks? Like, what are your go-to top 5s?
Ooh, top 5 favorite snacks. Okay. All right, so boom. Crispy Cheetos.
Okay.
Not the Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I don't eat Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I like, that's number 1. Number 2, popcorners.
Okay.
Like them air pop chips.
Oh, okay. The triangle
like
popcorn chips.
Popcorn.
Okay, yep.
In a blue bag.
Oh yes, yes.
Popcorners.
Those are good. Yes.
Popcorners. The blue, black, and white bag. Love those.
That's the cheddar ones. Yep.
It's the cheddar. Oh, I can go in on a whole bag of those. There's also, hold on, I'm on my phone because I'm trying to find it. But there's these like Italian wafer crackers.
Okay.
And I cannot remember the name of them. Wafers. Hold on. Wafer cookies? Not cookies. Oh, here we go. They're called Quadratini. Have you heard of those?
No. But I do like wafer crackers.
Quadratini. Hold on.
Let me pull up on myself.
Put it in the camera.
Okay, I've seen those before, but I've never had those. Those are good.
These joints, delicious. And hazelnut, they have all different types of flavors. And anything that has like a chocolatey kind of flavor to it, it's delicious.
Okay.
They got like hazelnut, tiramisu. I think they have like a mocha. They have a dark chocolate.
Tiramisu sounds so good.
It's like an espresso. The tiramisu one is really good.
Okay.
I got those 3. What else? I don't know. I like chocolate. I like chocolate. I can do milk chocolate. I can do dark chocolate. Any type of chocolate, I'm pretty much good. I kind of want to go for an ice cream. We talking unhealthy snacks, right? We talking unhealthy because like usually I'll be eating fruits in the house. This list sounds so bad because it's like, damn, this girl don't eat no vegetables.
No,
eat fruits and vegetables in the house.
Honestly, any kind of snack. Yeah, any kind of snack. Because like, I talked with
unhealthy.
Listen, Kenny 2 weeks ago, he had me feeling kind of bad on stream because he was like, oh, well, you know, I'm not eating any bad food anymore. You know, I'm changing my lifestyle up. I don't eat pizza and nothing like that. And I was like, you know, on stream, I was like, okay, you know, go Kenny. In my head, I was like, damn, I live a very unhealthy lifestyle because I don't get like not eating pizza. Pizza's like my go-to. Man, I got this much money and I get this much time. That's my go-to. That's my go-to throw meal. But you know, I get it. So,
I don't know. When I think of snacks, I just think. I mean, I guess I think unhealthy, but like my snacks also do be like fruits. Well, I wouldn't call vegetables my snack. Vegetables are like my dinner, my foods. But like, I mean, fruits for snacks. But my mind just went like, oh yeah, the snacks that I really would like to eat.
Oh no, yeah,
like healthy. It's but it's fine. No, I just want everybody watching to know your girl eats fruits and vegetables. Eat your fruits and vegetables. But like, also get into these snacks though.
We get into these snacks.
I think my last snack would probably be I think it's like low-key it's a toss-up, and these are Japanese snacks, but it's a toss-up between Pocky, the almond chocolate Pocky.
Oh my god, the almond crunch. Oh yes, the gold box almond crunch. The gold box almond crunch.
Yeah, that's it's a toss-up between that and the chocolate mushroom caps. You ever seen those?
Yes. Okay, but
and the yellow and green box.
Yes, but I find those to be so chalky to me that it could just be me, but I find them to be chalky.
The bread to be chalky or the chocolate?
The chocolate on top to be chalky. Like I like the biscuit part. What? Yeah. Okay. So you know the Hello Panda ones. Okay.
Hello Panda. I could give
I used to like those too because they kind of remind me of Hello Panda, but like flipped. Because you know the fillings on the inside, but the fillings on the top. I find and I find the Hello Panda caps to kind of be chalky too. And I don't know if it's just like the chocolate filling that they use for those particular. Because I think they're made by the same company, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but like just tastes a little bit chalky to me. And it's not all of like the biscuit chocolate combo Japanese snacks. I think it's just those. Oh no, did I disappear? Oh goodness, not my webcam making me disappear. That's hilarious. Oh, there we go. Look at me, I reappear. Y'all already know what kind of technical difficulties. It is almost every time I try to bring on a guest star. I talked about this briefly. I was using the Twitch guest star. That shit had me and Kenny was over there beefing with Twitch. It wouldn't work for me. So I don't know what happened. So after that, Kenny was like, well, you know, you could just use Discord and pop it out. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I do know that. I don't know why I didn't do that before. So that's why we're using Discord today. But it could just be the fact that I want y'all to know I'm running everything off of a laptop. You know, this baby, she's my baby. If y'all want to support me, you know, eventually I'll put a tip jar there. You know, every time, you know, you get an extra $1 instead of spending on a bag of chips, you can spend it on me. I'd really appreciate that.
Even though we was just talking about snacks, but you know,
talk about snacks later. Snacks later. Support your local content creator. Absolutely love your snack choices. And I was talking about the different kind of Pocky. So you get the main three. You get the regular chocolate, the regular strawberry, and then I started seeing the cookies and cream. But then life changed when they brought out the strawberry chunk and the almond crunch. The strawberry chunk and the almond crunch. Now I know people really like the banana one, the chocolate covered banana one. Not a big fan of chocolate covered bananas. Not a big fan of like banana and chocolate. That's not a good combination for me. But
same.
But let me tell you, typical is part of the process. Good shit. Thank you. Very well spoken. Also, congratulations. Missed you, homie. How's your baby doing? Homie has a whole baby now. I'm so proud of him. He's such a good dad. But I'm feeling what I'm thinking about for my snacks, because I give the same kind of snacks every time, but I almost want to give you just Japanese snacks to see if we vibe. So
let's do it.
So here are my top 5 favorite Japanese snacks. Number one, the undisputed champion is the Colby honey butter chips. Undisputed champion.
Forgot about the chips. I forgot about the chips. We're here because I love me some Colby honey butters.
The Colby honey, because the Korean brand, they have a honey butter chip too, but it's too flimsy. It doesn't have any crunch to it. The Colby ones, they're like a kettle chip, and I love me a good kettle chip. Kettle chip. Number 2, the tempura seaweed chips, where it's just like fried seaweed. It's like
I don't think I've had that before.
Yeah,
that does sound kind of nice though.
It's just like, it's crispy, it's flaky, it's got a little nori seasoning on top. Real good. Love those.
Okay.
Then of course the reoccurring one, the almond crunch Pocky. Love those. Then there is like the rice crackers, just the assorted hard ass culture brother with rice crackers. I know they almost crack your teeth.
Are you talking about senbei?
Yes,
salty.
The little salty ones, yeah. Like they're like little hard
crackers, right? Like salty, they're like kind of fried. Probably senbei.
Probably senbei, but they have the nori wrapping on them. They have little seaweed wraps on them.
Senbei, because senbei can be plain. Senbei can be plain. It can have like, it can have the nori wrapping. It can have like I think like a seafood flavor to it.
Yeah,
it's a cracker like maybe like this big or something like that, right?
Literally this big. That I can bust down an entire jar, a bag, whatever the case, whatever they come in. I'm busting them down. I don't know why, because it's just salt and rice. But in their hard as fuck, they can literally crush. They're so good.
It's mad good. Me and my husband would buy those sometimes, and like in Japan, it's usually older people that eat senbei. So like old guys that like be at the bar drinking beer and stuff will eat senbei. So when before I started eating senbei, I would see depictions of like old guys eating senbei. Like, you know, Yoshitaka Amano, he does the illustrations for Final Fantasy.
Oh, okay, yes.
He's done illustrations for other works too, but like he's mostly known for Final Fantasy. They have videos of him doing artwork, and he will be eating senbei like during the like documentary. And me and Shinji would I would mostly be laughing about it, like, oh, Amano-san. But Shinji started buying senbei in the house, and I started like calling him, "Oh, you're such an old man." But senbei is actually really good.
So
especially
delicious
with some beer. Like, senbei is a vibe.
It is honestly,
it's a vibe.
Top tier. And then my last one is dorayaki. I love me just 2 pancakes but I don't like Azuki red bean paste. And I know that's like a very popular filling in Japan, but I do not like red bean paste. And I've tried it so many different ways. I've tried it in taiyaki. I've tried it in like
taiyaki is so good.
I love taiyaki. I love but I like that Japanese, like, it's like that breading, the way that they make it, and it's in a lot of their like pastries and their fried foods. I just love that breading, but I cannot get behind Azuki red bean paste. I really tried. I've tried it in pan. I've tried it in like little cakes. I've tried Azuki red bean paste in so many different ways. I've tried it straight out the jar. But I don't like it. It's just not for me, and I feel so bad because it's such a popular flavor in Japan. Yeah. Such a popular flavor, but I do not like it. I do not like it, Sam. I cannot stand that stuff. So like for me,
so good.
I know so many people like it, and I feel so bad because I also have a Japanese friend. Her name is Yorina. When she was here in the States, like one of her favorite things to eat was things with Azuki red bean paste. I'm like, girl, I can't do it. I'm sorry, that's not it. My American
is it the taste?
It's
like
little
texture.
I think it's just the taste. Like it's sweet and it's nutty, which right. I don't know why it's nutty. And it's not that I don't like sweet and nutty things, because my favorite filling from most Japanese snacks is going to be any kind of hazelnut spread or chocolate spread, because I know that a lot of times when I have like Japanese snack, especially like something like a dorayaki or something that's got like chocolate in it, it always has like a nutty flavor to it. Like it's almost like they always use Nutella. But
right,
I don't like Azuki red bean paste. But I love dorayaki. Those two pancakes with some Nutella in the middle, it's fire. But Azuki red bean paste is just not it. It's not it.
I'm so shocked, dude.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Because there's different ways that you can have like red, like it can be a paste, it can be like a little thinner than a paste, if I'm not mistaken. There's other ways to like do the red beans, so it's like,
okay, I'll say this. The ways I've had Azuki red bean paste so far, which I've had like the chunky paste where it's like the beans in it,
or some of it is whole. Yeah,
some of it is whole. And I've had
the one that I love that. I like the chunky red bean paste. Like,
nah, that's just it's awful to me. Can't do that.
I love it.
And then the
ice cream and taiyaki. Oh gosh, so good.
I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings, but like, and I think that the only other Japanese snack that I'm just not a fan of is mochi. And I know people love mochi, but for mochi, it's like, it's a texture thing. I really think it's like, it's gummy and it's chewy, and oftentimes it's filled with stuff I don't like eating. Oftentimes Azuki red bean paste. So it's just it's not it. And I've tried mochi in a couple of different ways too. I've tried it in just like the actual like little mochi. I've tried it in ice cream. I've tried like mochi flavored things. I've had a mochi waffle before, which wasn't terrible, but like, I think that the texture is just like too gummy for me. I don't know why. It's just not feeling it.
I feel you on that. I am not a big fan of mochi either. So there's, as I'm sure you know, there's like this mochi called like daifuku, which is like this big mochi, and then it has like the red bean paste in it.
Right.
My husband loves daifuku, and I don't mind mochi ice cream. I used to work in a Japanese like restaurant, izakaya, years ago, and we used to actually serve mochi ice cream. And sometimes me and my coworkers would sneak in the fridge and like steal some.
Fair.
So like I would eat the mochi ice cream, because it's easy. Like you just have it. It doesn't. It's frozen. Like the rice kind of like absorbs the ice cream, so it doesn't melt. So you can just hold it in your hand really quick and like munch it down. So like I get the convenience of that. Like I'm okay with that with the mochi ice cream. I don't really like daifuku, even though I like the red bean paste. A lot of it is like, I also don't really like the texture of mochi either. I don't like the gumminess. It's too stretchy. And in the same way that like if you eat like a pizza that has like really crazy amounts of mozzarella on it, like sometimes you'll eat it and it'll slide down your throat and it doesn't break up. And
it doesn't break. What's going on?
Mochi does the same thing if you don't chew it properly, but it's thicker than cheese. So it's just
like when it's like room temp mochi, like and it starts to stretch and you're just like, why? No mochi for me. I'm trying to think of it like, but those are like my big like, I'm not doing that. But all the other like particularly quote unquote weird flavors that like that's not like really popular here in the States, like I love shrimp chips. I love like eel lays. That's like really popular, especially like in Taiwan. I love like the eel lays.
I've never had that, but that sounds amazing.
They're
I love
so
like
good.
Unadon, like eel on top of rice. That's like my favorite Japanese food, probably like all time.
It's so good. There's also like a seaweed chip that I've had before. Like it's also like Lay's in like Taiwan and Korea. And what's the other country that does Lay's really well? Lay's has some in over there, East Asia. Whatever Lay's flavor they got going on, I'm fucking with it heavy. But
Right.
but there's just mochi and Azuki red bean paste. I'm sure there's some other things that I just have yet to try, but like,
Dang.
yeah, it's the only
red
two.
bean paste is so good though. It's so good.
You know,
it's so good, dude.
Many people have tried to convince me that it is. I am still yet unconvinced. But I'm gonna take. All I can do is say, the way I've had it hasn't been great. If people, whoever, eventually, that's all I'm gonna say. Eventually, maybe I'll try it some other ways. We'll see how I like it. I still haven't had the otaku coming to Japan. Every otaku, their biggest dream is go to Japan. I still have yet to be to Japan yet.
You haven't been to Japan yet?
Nope. I haven't been to Japan yet, so I know that a lot of like my experiences with food has been secondhand. Like I'll do some research, or I'll be in like an Asian mart, or I'll go online and I'll order some Asian snacks, and we'll try it that way. And of course, just like my general knowledge of like Japanese culture, so I've tried things that way, like popular stuff, through that way. But I have yet to like go to like a Japanese kombini and like explore like a Lawson or a 7-Eleven yet, and like get that experience. Like that's my true dream. That's my dream, is to go to Japan. Do I want to go to like Shinjuku? Do I want to go to Harajuku? Do I want to go like all the main streets? Of course. Would I like to go to like the temples and things like that? Yes, absolutely. Do I want bread? Of course. But my true dream, and I could do this, I would go to Japan and I would just go to every Lawson, every 7-Eleven, every other kombini, the family owned ones too, and just go in with like $50 and buy $50 worth of snacks and just pimp out. That would be that would be good.
God. I went to Japan for the first time this year at the end of March and like early April, and we went for 2 weeks, and we did like damn near like a whole Japan tour, and I actually have the vlog of that trip on my my YouTube. So
okay,
YouTube Gigi Murakami, and you can check that out. But we actually did go to like quite a few kombini in Japan, and I mostly went for the ice cream.
Okay.
Because like, I don't know, like I've had a lot of like Japanese snacks, and like I'm kind of like, some of the flavors in Japan are just not really to my liking. Like there's a lot of corn flavored shit in Japan.
Yes.
I don't really care for the corn flavored stuff.
Which is so funny because sweet corn, that flavor is actually... Is it just like corn flavor, or is it like the sweet corn? Because I know like there was a Kit Kat that was really popular in Japan, and it was like sweet corn.
I heard about that. I didn't try it because there's no reason for a Kit Kat to taste like sweet corn, so I wasn't doing it. I've had other like different flavored Kit Kats from Japan, but I was specifically not doing the sweet corn one. I'm not paying for it. At least if you pay for it and give me one, I'll eat it. But I'm not. And those bags are like expensive. They'd be like $8 for like a big bag of cake. I'm not doing that. Because if I don't like them, it's a waste. So
then you have like this big bag of Kit Kats. Got it.
That I'm not eating. I'm good. So I was messing around with the ice creams, and there's this one ice cream, I think it's called like Monaco. I was like obsessed with this ice cream, and it's like a waffle, like a crunchy waffle top breading, and in between there's like chocolate. I think you can choose between chocolate or vanilla. Maybe I think what it is like it's a chocolate ice cream, and the two waffle pieces are like cemented in the ice cream through like a chocolate covering, if that makes sense.
Oh no, that sounds good. I heard waffle. I heard ice cream, I heard crunchy, and those honestly, that's enough to make me go, yeah. When when I finally make my pilgrimage to Japan, and I go to the otaku mecca, because that's what it is. That's honestly a trip to Japan. If you're an otaku, that's like top tier. You're pretty much you're making your pilgrimage. You're making your otaku pilgrimage. You gotta go see all the scenes. You gotta match everything up in your head, and you just gotta be there.
Right.
Honestly,
I didn't see all the otaku stuff though. Like,
really?
That was because part of that was like my husband is Japanese, and we have been married for 5 years, and I hadn't met my in-laws up until that point.
Okay.
So like, and my husband's from Hokkaido, which is like the most northern part of Japan. Mm-hmm. And like, so like Hokkaido's here, Tokyo's here.
Right.
It's like a 10-hour difference. So the whole point of the trip was to go to see, for obviously, because he knows it was my first time, was to go see the sights, but also primarily to meet my in-laws.
That makes sense.
And to take wedding photos. So after that, we didn't have that many days left to like do all the otaku stuff, and he's not a huge like anime and manga fan, so I knew he wasn't gonna want to go see the Gundam or like do too much, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, like,
no, I get you.
So we kind of played it cool. We did go to the Ghibli Museum though, which was really nice.
Okay, that's nice.
And what else did we do? We went to go to the Ghibli Museum, and we did go to like a lot of game centers, and like we did like a lot of crane games and stuff like that in Tokyo and in Hokkaido. So that was nice. It was giving otaku like baby.
Okay.
It was sweet.
I like that. Honestly,
we did a lot of temples though.
Okay,
it was funny that you mentioned the temples, because we did a ton of temples, which I'm not mad at, because I thought I was gonna hate it, and I actually did really like it. It was very peaceful. That's
exactly why like I'd want to do Japanese temples. Like honestly, Tokyo, I feel like my dream Japan trip, and I'm gonna lay it out for y'all. This is like my dream Japan trip. I would like to cruise out to Japan. Do like a 11-day, like there's an 11-day cruise where you can cruise out to Japan. You can do all like the cruise stuff, and they'll have pre-done stops there. I want to get to Japan, and I want to spend 2 weeks out there. Do a couple nights in Tokyo, because everyone says you gotta live Tokyo at least for a couple days. You gotta be in Tokyo. Then I'll visit all the other spots for a hot minute, and then I'll fly back to the States. That's like my dream Japan trip, to cruise, because I love boats. I like to cruise despite I have terrible motion sickness, but I love the cruising experience. Oh yeah, I have awful. If when I play video games out here, like I actually can't play FPS or honestly even some third-person shooter games because my motion sickness is bad.
It's a lot.
It is so bad.
The older I get, the worse my motion sickness gets. I feel that
so
I can't do a lot of three-person shooters either.
Yeah, it's awful. And when I went on a cruise last year with my best friend, midway through the cruise I thought I was gonna die. I had the worst headache, stomach ache, all types of aches. But it was great. Unlimited food, drinks was flowing, the dances were dancing. I had a great time. So now that I know that I can cruise to Japan, have that experience, then I spend 2 weeks out there, spend basically a month-long Japan trip, come back home
How long is that cruise trip though?
11 days. 11 days. About 2 weeks. Because you have to on the boat. You have to go from the States, so I'd have to leave from California to Japan. And I know it's a long time out on sea, but honestly, it's really peaceful for me. If I could, I would live on a boat, because it's just like there's no like else. There's nothing else out there. It's just you and your boat. I mean, I know I've seen the Titanic, but you know what? The Titanic happens less and less these days. I have yet to hear like a cruise ship going under, so I feel very comfortable on the boat. The only thing that was kind of scary was just like the motion sickness, but they got drugs for that, so I'm okay. I just drug myself up.
That's true. That is true.
And the trip I took last year, I actually went to Mexico and Honduras. And once you're there on their little islands, because they have like, it's specifically like a tourist stop. So when you get there, there's enough stuff that is in English and there's enough stuff that's in variables in Spanish. So a lot of these cruise spots, the reason why I would like to cruise is because it gives me the opportunity to experience Japan, but I have a lot of help so that I don't have to worry about, snap, what was the word for bye? Ikura? Is that it? I don't have to worry about words or things like that because there will be someone there to help me, or the staff will be semi-fluent in English because it's a tourist stop. But of course then I want to get released into Japan, free range chicken, free range chicken, run around, experience Japan in its natural form, probably have a little pocket translator so I don't have to hurt nobody's ears or have to learn hurt anybody during their day-to-day. I'm just a humble foreigner here. And then after that I get to go home back to my American sensibilities, where I get to tell everybody about how cool I was because I went to Japan and I spent a month there.
Did you cut yourself off from saying complain?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna complain. Honestly, I complain about everything. That is like my prerequisite. As much as I enjoy something, I will always have a complaint about it. That is the American in me. I'm gonna have a great time, but I'm gonna find something to complain about. I'm gonna be like, there's this Australian guy and he was just like talking too loud and I didn't like that. That's a complaint. Or like, did you know in Japan they drive on the left side of the road? Like, I knew it, but like actually seeing that was bizarre to me and I don't like it.
I actually drove in Japan when we went.
Oh really?
That was an experience.
How was it driving on the opposite side of the road?
It was kind of fun. So we started in Tokyo, and then we stayed in Tokyo for like, I want to say like 2 or 3 days. And then we went to Hokkaido on like the 3rd or the 4th day. And then we were there for like another 4 days or something like that. And during that trip to Hokkaido, my father-in-law, he has like his own vehicle, whatever, his house vehicle. Because where my husband is from is kind of like a very rural area of Japan. So I was able to see like a legit side of like the Japanese countryside. There was like factories. It was like fields. It was very rural. So we were able to practice on his car because like part of it being rural is that there's not too many people on the roads. So I was able to practice driving there, and then once I kind of got like, okay, I kind of know how to drive on this side of the road. Once we got that down, after we left Hokkaido and we went to Kyoto, we did like kind of like a whirlwind thing of like Kyoto, Nara, and Osaka. Okay. And we went to those 3 areas, and then on our last day went to Asakusa. But it was a little confusing because we went down like to those areas. We went to Osaka first, and then we went up. And then from Kyoto to Osaka, because that's where we landed in the plane in Osaka, I drove from Kyoto down to Osaka. And that's it's got to be like a 3 or 4 hour drive or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty intense. I mean, that's even 3 to 4 hour drive here in the States is intense, but in another country,
it was nice though. It was fun. I enjoyed it. The only thing is like, because like you have to pay attention to your right side, and I'm left-handed, I always prioritize the left side. And that works in the US, so that like, you're always over here anyway. But on that side, like over there, when you're over on the opposite side of the road, prioritizing too far to be left is not a good thing because you can crash into somebody. So once I kind of fixed that, it was okay. It was safe. I was good.
Okay. Well, that's yeah, it sounds exciting. And now I wanted to drive in another country really badly, but I know everywhere else is like right side road. So I'm just like, I'm really, really, really skeptical Like, honestly, I don't even like. Yeah, honestly,
I mean, it's not difficult to get like an international like permit. You can go to like a AAA and pick one up, and I don't remember how much it costs, maybe like $25 or something, and like just rent a car for like a day wherever you go. It's fun. I can't not like be driving abroad now. I feel like
no, because I feel like I'm gonna get addicted. I feel like I'm gonna get addicted because I like driving. Well, I'll say this: I like driving in Florida, which is probably crazy because no one I've heard that comes and visit Florida likes driving here. But I like driving in Florida. I've driven in a couple of other states as well. Had a pretty decent time. I like driving in general. So the idea of driving another country on the quote unquote wrong side of the road just feels very exciting. And also I feel like it's like a different touring experience than just like walking or taking the train or the metro, whatever place has whatever kind of mode of public transportation. I feel like it'll be very interesting. So I'm really excited.
And it's also different cultural stuff there too. So like something that I did not know until obviously my husband pointed it out. He mentioned it in the States, but I didn't really see it firsthand until we went to Japan. But in Japan, when you're driving on the road and like you kind of make a mistake or whatever, and like you need to kind of cut somebody off, like you need somebody to like let you in or whatever to like merge in. What they'll do in Japan, like when they're basically kind of inconveniencing you as you're driving, if you like let them go, or like if they can kind of like get around or whatever, they will actually pop their hazards on for like 2 blinks and turn it off, and that means thank you when they're making a maneuver. And Shinji was like, people, because I'm in New York City, he's like, people in New York City are so rude, like nobody says thank you. And he's like, is there a way to say thank you as you're driving? And I was like, no, why would we need a thank you? Like, move, like just
get out the way, right? Why? First off,
you're in my way,
right? I was like, first of all,
you need to move.
First of all, why you didn't have your GPS up and you didn't know where you was going in the first place? Like,
right, you're moving too slow. Like, I need you to move over.
Absolutely.
He was like, yeah, in Japan, people turn their hazards on to say thank you, and I was like, oh, interesting.
That's nice. That's real nice.
So when we went, and I was driving on the highway, somebody had needed to merge to come into the highway, basically. Like, we were, you know how like people merge to get on the highway? I was already on the highway, and somebody needed to merge to come over, and it was getting a little backed up. So they were kind of like looking, and I kind of like slowed down to like let them in, and they turned their hazards on for me, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
I can get used to this.
I can get used to this. So on the highway, I started doing it to everybody that I was driving by. You know how like somebody is moving too slowly in your lane, but there's space in front of them, so you're like, ooh, okay, maybe I can kind of like move up a bit and then kind of jump in front of them.
Right.
It's not really like an inconvenience thing. It's just they're moving at their pace, right? So like I needed to get around somebody, and I like sped up, and I like tried to like, I got in front of them. There was no hassle. I didn't need them to like decrease speed to like let me in. It was open, and I just slid in, and I thanked them. And my husband was like, you don't have to do that for everything, right? You don't have to. And I was like, but like I wanted to say thank you. And he was like, it's fine. You don't have to.
It's good. No, that's like, it feels like it's an exciting experience.
The first time. It was mad sweet. I was like, oh, maybe we should be doing this in the States, because like I feel like I did something good.
I was like, nah, son, that's not. And the funny thing is like, I really thought about it. I was like, I wonder what that. I was like, at least down here in Florida, I'm gonna let you know right now, people from all over the states, all over the world drive down here. Especially, I live like in Orlando, which is tourist city. So, and I live like 10-15 minutes from Universal, so there's no kindness over here, honey. You get in where you fit in, and if hey, listen, it is what it is. But that's just where I'm at. Maybe if I lived in a little bit,
that's where I'm at too. But
I was like, it's a tourist spot over here. So I'd be surprised if I get out my house and I'm not honking at somebody or zooming around somebody to get through.
No, I feel you. I'm in all of New York City and I'm in Brooklyn, and like that is apparently the hot spot that like people are trying to live at right now. So yeah, we get all types of drivers out here. People, tourists. We got people from other countries living here who, you know, I hate to say it, but like in a lot of places in like Southeast Asia, the driving is kind of crazy. We have a lot of Southeast Asians here, and they be driving like they back home, and it's like, whoa.
Hey, listen, hold on, wait a second.
Hold on.
No blinker, no indication, just hot.
You just going. You're just going, and like I love that for you, but like, please, like not while I'm on the road. But it would be nice to just have a little boop, boop, you know, like, can you let me in, please? Boop, boop, thank you.
That's
like, that would be sweet, but it's not gonna happen here. But that's a cute little cultural thing that I didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah, no, that like it sounds like it is. Honestly, it sounds really nice. And I know that especially every Black person has a very unique experience in Japan. Like I've talked to several different people who've had like some Black people I've talked to about their experiences in Japan always talk about like their experiences with like just the culture shock of people getting used to them, not so much them visiting, but people just like getting used to them existing in their space because they'll be tall or they'll be dark skinned or they'll have the hair, or even being fat in Japan, like just having to like your body just existing in this space and people getting used to you. But I've also heard of like really cool experiences, like people who've lived long term where like they talk about their kids and how excited their kids are, how much more freedom they have for their kids, the safety aspect. So I feel like every experience, every person, and I talk specifically about the Black experience just because I've seen and I've heard directly from people who've gone about like people touching their hair. Like if I could express any like slight fear, it's just like I don't want people to touch me like without my consent, and I think that would be like the only thing. And I know it's in Japan that sometimes that happens and you don't really want to act out strange, but like that's like my only fear. Like please don't touch me, I don't know you, not like bad, but like I just don't touch my body. Like that's my personal space.
This is my bubble, right?
So
yeah,
I don't know, did you experience any like awkward or uncomfortable experiences while you were in Japan?
I did. Thankfully nobody actually touched me or my hair. Especially like with my mother-in-law. So like there was personal experience with like my family, and then outside experiences just like being Black in Japan. Personal experiences with my family, my mother-in-law, and at the time my hair, I had green extensions in and I had like a green bob. So you know, my hair was nicely laid, but I was coming to the country with a totally different hair color. So like I was expecting to be stared at. But like I said, like my husband's family lives up north in Japan in like a very rural area. So they have like, forget about Black people, they see almost no foreigners at all.
That's true.
And his parents are older. So like, you know, I was probably going to be the first Black person that they've seen, if not like the second. So I went up there and, you know, I went as myself, and it was pretty good. It was fine. My family was like very warm towards me. We had been in conversation way before I went. Like we were in comfortable conversation speaking. They only speak Japanese, so I was speaking to them in Japanese, and like it was fine. Like it was comfortable. So when I met them, it was comfortable. With my hair though, my mother-in-law was really intrigued about my hair. But she was a class act, because we started talking about my hair, and my husband did have to like kind of translate a little bit because she's older. She's using, her vocabulary is a little different, and dialect wise, like there's a different dialect in Hokkaido.
Correct.
With all the places in Japan, there's different dialects, and I don't know what's known as Hokkaido bin, which is like their dialect. I don't know it that well, and she mostly speaks that. So he had to do a little bit of translating here and there, whatever. And she was really interested in my hair, and I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and she's like kind of like in the kitchen, and it's like a cutout kitchen, so she can see us, and she's kind of over there, and she's like really excited to talk about my hair. And I was like, oh yeah, it's just in braids, and you know, this is how Black women wear their hair in the States and stuff. And she was like, oh really? Oh, it's very nice. How long did it take? And I was like, it was about 6 hours, 7 hours. It's like, really? That's such a long time. And she was so excited. I was like, do you want to feel it? And she was like, yes, please. She was so excited.
That's cute though. That's cute.
She was so excited. She was so excited, and she wasn't overdoing it. She wasn't like, she just like took a strand, and it was nice. She was like, oh, this is beautiful. And I was like, yeah, because like hair kind of came up because we took wedding photos, like Japanese wedding photos. So I was dressed in a kimono, and the women that were doing my hair, they didn't know quite what to do, but they did a really good job. And it was kind of a team effort because I had like some braid clamps, like not clamps, the braid cuffs.
Oh, okay.
Like gold braid cuffs, and like I was putting the cuffs on as they were putting like my hair up and putting ornaments in my hair. So I think definitely after that, my mother-in-law became very interested in like my hair. So she was very excited to like see it and like, you know, like understand it and touch the feel the texture. But she was very respectful, and like she did wait for me to give her permission to come into my space, which I was like, whoa, like I wasn't expecting that. And my husband was actually a little nervous about that too, because you know, he was like, he just didn't want me to take it any other way, even though I wouldn't have, because I prepared myself about that. Because again, like realizing that Japan is not the escapism for me, like knowing the good and the bad, I was prepared for those types of things to happen, like mentally ready for foolishness. But he was nervous that in her excitement she might kind of overstep boundaries, and she didn't, and she did wait, and she was patient, and I really appreciated that. So that was with my family. Now out in the world was a little strange, especially in Hokkaido, because it's rural. Like I said, there's not many foreigners, definitely not many Black people. And I was being stared down in Hokkaido. In Tokyo, it wasn't that bad. And I didn't have like a gaijin seat. Like people were sitting next to me. And maybe it was because I was with a Japanese man. I don't know. But even when my husband wasn't sitting, when I sat down, people didn't get up and leave and like make space or whatever. Like my experience was very normal. It was just like, it was chill. In Hokkaido was crazy though. As soon as I got there, we had to take a bus like 3 hours from Sapporo, which is up north also, but it's one of the major cities in Hokkaido. We had to take a bus from Sapporo down to my husband's hometown. It's about a 3 hour drive or whatever. And as soon as we got to the bus stop, literally people were in their cars driving by, like, what's going on? And that was basically the entire vibe. The time that we were up in Hokkaido, we went to this like shopping center, which was interesting because like rural Japan is kind of the same as like rural America. Like there's still like big shopping outlets, like how you have like a Walmart, a Target, and an Aldi's all in the same like area. It's the same thing. Okay. So they had like this big shopping outlet where it was kind of giving mall, but like more like outlet than like American mall where there's like escalators everywhere. It wasn't that big. It was all ground level. And there were clothing shops, there were places to eat, a ton of clothing shops. There were like places to buy jewelry and stuff. And I was there and I was getting stared down, stared down. Kids was staring at me, women were staring at me, not so many dudes were staring. It was just kind of like, or if they were staring, I didn't see it. But it was just, I was getting stared down. Old people were looking at me. It was like, it was a lot, but nobody came up to me and touched my hair. Nobody was like,
that was good. Okay.
Disrespectful. It was more so like,
who is this? Who is this creature? Who is this? Who is this being? What is this thing here? I get it.
I've never seen this before. And then, you know, we would go to like cashiers and stuff, and they were just kind of like, some people were like super excited and like were ready to talk to me, like just basic, like, you know, basic shopping stuff. And then some people were like unimpressed and just like, whatever, it's a day, whatever. And it was like, honestly, like, shout out to you, because you made me feel like normal.
Right. Shout out to those like, just get out of the store, please. It's
like,
just, you know, this is my 9 to 5.
I'm ready to go home. Like, it's fine, whatever. But it was cool. Like, up in Hokkaido was cool. And then, you know, we had stayed there for like 4 days or whatever. So we were going back and forth to that shopping center. And one time that we had went there, me, my husband, and my brother-in-law, we had parked the car and we was getting out. And we had actually seen a pickup truck of these 2 white dudes, and they were definitely American. They were not giving European, they were not giving Australian, they were definitely giving American, mid-America, like, you know what I'm saying? Tank top with the cap backwards.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was giving that. And they were with a Japanese woman, and they had came out, and they was going to their car as we was coming out the car. And the look on my face, we were like both like surprised to see each other. It was the weirdest thing. It's different when you're the non-Japanese person in a group of Japanese people in Japan and you're being stared at. It's like, okay, cool. But all you're seeing is Japanese people. So when you see another foreigner, you give that foreigner the same look that Japanese people have given you, because you haven't seen any other, like, you haven't seen any other non-Japanese.
It's like, what you doing out here?
Literally, like, what are you doing out here? And it was like, we were looking at each other like, oh. And then we just said hi in English. And it was so weird because I hadn't spoken English at that point for like more than a week or something like that. And the dudes was like, hi. And I was like, hi. It's because stop laughing at me. He was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, no, I forgot to speak English.
No, that makes sense. What is an English word? I don't, what? Hi? No, that makes sense. I was
definitely about to greet them in Japanese, but I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I speak English, like, duh. But it was like, it was a surreal situation. But that was like probably the weirdest. Me and my husband had went to, okay, here's actually the weirdest situation. The absolute weirdest situation that I had in Japan was, we were in Don Quixote.
Okay.
And Don Quixote is like
the discount store.
It's a discount store, but they have like quirky stuff in there. Think about like Spencer's, but like 99-cent store.
Spencer's,
like, have like weird. Yeah, it's like weird little knickknacks and like quirky stuff that they have in there, but they also have like practical items in there too. So we went to this massive Don Quixote store in Hokkaido, and my husband had kind of like left me to like go get stuff, and I was in the stationery section because I love stationery. So I was looking around in the stationery section. Stuff is cheaper there. It's straight made in Japan. So I was trying to like bulk up for, you know, my supplies.
Right.
And I was looking through like some stuff, some pens or whatever. And I hear this one woman, and I think like her friend, just like speaking in Japanese, and like they are just, you know how you can feel somebody kind of like with eyes on you? Like you can just kind of feel their eyes on you. I was kind of feeling that, but I was like, at that point in time, I knew people were staring at me. They probably hadn't seen a black person before, so I was like, it is what it is.
Right.
But like, they were staring and they were lingering. So now I was kind of feeling like, wait a second, are we, like, am I safe? Like, what's going on? So I was like, let me move from this location. So the aisle was like, you know, it was kind of like a long aisle. And then I was in this side of the aisle. and this is like the cutoff point of the aisle. I'm trying to make this like as visual as possible, but like this is the cutoff point of the aisle. The women were here.
Okay.
The women were here. I'm here. This is the cutoff point, and then the aisle extends this way. So they're not like directly on me. They're like on the outer side of the aisle, but I can see them because it's an aisle. Like there's, you can look through the shelving. So I'm like, okay, they're here for a minute. So I'm gonna look at something else. So I move over a little bit and I go to the opposite aisle. So the aisle that's on my back, I start looking over there. I didn't move too much. I moved over a little bit, and these women are still there, and they actually start like low key moving with me. So, and then the group started getting bigger. So it went from like kind of like one lady like bringing her other friend, and then there was like another lady.
They just started just like little crowd of watching your reality TV show.
Literally, it was like a crowd of like these Japanese women, and these were like not young women. These were like older women, maybe like 40s, 50s, something like that. So I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of like in a little bit of a fight or flight because I had never. I'm like, I can understand people watching me thinking like I might be stealing or some shit. But, like they were really like watching me, and I felt it. And then when I had moved over a little bit and they kind of moved with me, I was not as scared. It was kind of getting a little comical for me. So I was like, all right, what should I move to next? And let me just test and see if they're gonna come. So again, on this long aisle, I was like on this side of the aisle. Now I'm on here. I'm in the same area, right? The same walk-through path, but I'm just on the opposite shelf. So I move over some more, and I go back to the original side of the first shelf that I was at, but more over. And these women,
they just shifted.
They come around the aisle and they're following me. And then they're speaking in Japanese and I can hear them. And the shit that they're saying is so mundane. They're trying so hard to make it seem like they're not following me. They're like, wow, this is a great pen, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a great pen. Oh, this writing. Oh, it's very good. So like when I had moved over, I was kind of in the pen section. And I was testing out pens. So I was in there for a minute because I was like, all right, I know that these women are following me, but I do actually want to buy some stuff from here. So I was there for a minute and I was testing out my pens, whatever. And then they're on the opposite side of that same area. And then, just chilling. So I got my pens and I'm like, all right, cool. Let me move on. We still in this aisle, right? So this is the other half of the aisle. That's one end. This is the other end. So I'm on this side of the aisle now. And on the end of that aisle, there's like erasers that are there. So I start moving to the erasers. And these women on that side of the aisle, they start moving over.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious.
There's no way. So I get my eraser. And the erasers, in this particular store, the eraser quality is not that great. So I get what I need. And then I come around and I loop. So the opposite aisle that I started at, basically, I just made a loop around, right?
Right.
So I'm on the opposite aisle and I'm looking through some more pens. These ladies, I swear to you, every move that I made, they made with me. And then they were at the eraser aisle.
Oh my goodness.
So basically where they had started it on that opposite end,
right?
Like on the opposite side now. And I was over here. They followed me on the loop. They did like a whole U-turn. And I'm like, I'm texting my husband. I'm like, bro, you got to get over here because this is too much. So again, I'm listening to their conversation in Japanese. They're like, wow, this is a great eraser, isn't it? Yeah, this is a really nice eraser. And I'm like, yo.
Not the peep over.
Right. I'm like, yo, this is weird. So I'm texting my husband and I'm telling him what's going on. So he comes over and I don't think that they knew that I knew Japanese. So like, why would they expect me? I think whenever most Japanese people see a foreigner in Japan, they just assume that they don't speak Japanese, which is a lot of times, not always wrong, but there's a lot of times when it is wrong. Like people actually do speak Japanese. So when my husband came, we started speaking in Japanese. And And they got so flustered, and they dipped. They like roaches, bro. They scattered. It was the funniest thing because I was texting him as it was happening too, and he came up. Bro, we just started talking in Japanese, and he was like, "Oh, did you find it?" I was like, "Yeah, I was thinking about this one," and they heard, and they dipped.
Oh,
they dipped.
No!
They were like,
"Oh no!"
Out of there. They were out of there. It was so funny, bro. It was so hilarious.
That is like, hilarious.
It was.
Oh no! Don't do it to me. Come on, computer. See, it happens every time. Come on, don't be like that. I'm sorry, y'all.
And once I kind of got to the pins and like they kept coming over, I was like, okay, this is kind of funny.
It is honestly, I feel like that's one of the more comical stories I've heard, and that is funny. It is funny. I probably would have. I'm a little malicious. I probably would have just had them stringing through the story at that point. Oh, we're gonna fall. Hey, listen, I've got time. You've got time. We're just gonna go through the story. But
you know what I should have done? I should have asked them a question in Japanese. I should have been like, "What do you think of this pin?" or something like that. Have you used this or something? Because I think what it was is that they probably just wanted to talk to me.
That could be it, yeah.
Because a lot of times, like, and so specifically with Black people, I don't know about any other group of people's experiences, but like Black people, we're always on defense. We are always expecting somebody to play us. We're always expecting to be like, for some shenanigans to go down because we're just in the room. Like that's just always our defense mechanism.
Right.
So sometimes though, when we're leaving from places like America where that defense mechanism is definitely needed, sometimes it can be that defense mechanism can sometimes not allow us to enjoy ourselves like in the present moment of like what it is that we're doing outside of America. Like bringing that heaviness with us. And it's not a heaviness that like, it's not a heaviness that's not important or like valid. Like that's just how we have learned to cope with shit in America. But sometimes learning to kind of pack those feelings up and like pack that defensiveness up and like put it aside for a minute just to be present in like a new space and a new environment without thinking the worst sometimes allows you to have a very like funny experience, like a very surreal sort of experience. Had I been in a different mindset, I might have been, I could have been like very offended by that or like very like on guard. And I was initially very nervous, like, why are y'all following me? Like, what's going on? But then it's like thinking about it from like their point of view, like they probably really have never seen a Black person before, like my age, like, I'm not a 6-foot Black woman. I'm not even like a 5'10" Black, like I'm not incredibly tall. I'm like the same height as them. Like I'm compact. You know what I mean? Like
same height, just kind of. Yeah, no, I get it. And I've had a few conversations with actual Japanese individuals talking, like I was saying earlier about how like our largest export is Black media, so a lot of their perception or their understanding of us is what they perceive in media. So like I've even heard it's like, oh, do all Black people know how to sing, or are all Black people talented to dance? Right.
I've gotten that from a friend before in college, not Akiko, a different friend who I'm also still friends with. But I remember one of the first things she asked me was like, oh, do you know how to twerk? And I was like, girl, I don't have the assets to even be twerking. Like girl.
That's hilarious. But like, yeah, like it's just like it's just a perception that they have from our media because like it's one of America's largest exports. So like, I definitely think that's valid to say, and I totally agree. Being able to like just kind of box up our initial like, oh, what should I do? Should I fight? Should I fight or should I flight? Just because we're so used to having to do that here. Just being able to say, you know what, we're in a different space. These people are not familiar with me or people who are like me. So just like, try to calm down, trying to just experience everything as it is. And yeah, I think I actually am really interested in talking to other people who have traveled to different countries, and like hearing their experience, because I've seen a lot of different people talk about their experiences over in Europe and other parts of Asia, and it really is just such a vastly different experience than when we get over here in America. Even if you were to be in like a dangerous situation, or like, you know, even if you do encounter some racism, it's not the same stuff that you get here. So hearing about the different experiences and kind of what to prepare, I feel like it helps people out. It opens up a really good dialogue about kind of like what you can expect from your experience too. It's nice. I love to hear your experiences nice. Your experiences are very interesting, and I loved talking with you just about like your life. You're so interesting. I just like talking to you in general.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. But we're rounding out the end of our couple hours, and I know that we started a little bit late, but I want to give you the opportunity. I know you mentioned that you're streaming later on today. I know that you mentioned stuff about your YouTube. So just so that people know where to find you or get your content, your artwork, anything like that, is there anything that you want to plug so that people can gain access to you on the interwebs?
Yes, my website is gigimurakami.art. I do manga and I do illustration. You can check out my works there. Social media, everywhere, I'm Gigi Murakami. On Instagram, I'm Gigi_Murakami, because somebody took my name, but we're not going to talk about that. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I also have a Patreon, also patreon.com/Gigi Murakami, where you can support the creation of my manga, Resenter, and my illustrations. And yeah, here is the first part of chapter 1 from my manga Resenter. It is currently for sale in my shop. Please check it out.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's all supernatural horror. I'm mostly a horror manga artist.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Kind of stuff.
Man, I'm so upset. I didn't even get an opportunity. I love horror manga. I love horror. Man, it's okay. It's okay though. Now we twinsies now. You stuck with me now. You wholeheartedly my sister now. It's over. It's over.
Bro, between the Pocky, like the gold almond crunch and the honey butter, like we here.
We here. It's over.
Chips.
Right. It's over now. It's over now. You stuck with me, so best believe we gotta schedule some more time for you to come on some other shows and stuff like that. But I'm so excited for your manga. Now I have to go purchase your manga. Just talking to you was such a pleasure. If you guys love Gigi Murakami as much as I do, please be sure to follow her on all of her socials, support her manga, support her on Patreon. So she's streaming today on Twitch at 5 p.m. EDT, EST. So please be sure to tune in on a tour stream so you can get some more Gigi Murakami goodness. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, Lovebug. I really appreciate you. Appreciate you sticking with me through all the technical difficulties and everything like that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I definitely get it, because I definitely have my own technical difficulties on my stream. It gets too hot in my room, and it's like my computer. I'm also working off a laptop. My computer is like, you know what I mean?
Listen, right.
Exactly.
Well, I'm gonna let you go. I probably will contact you a little bit after the stream just to catch up with you and do some more connectivity. But thank you again for your time, and I really appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.